Krav Maga is a comprehensive system of self-defense, third-party protection and fighting skills forged in the field, under real-life conditions, both in the battlefield and on the streets. Emerging out of the needs of a persecuted, resource-strapped minority defending itself against those bent on its destruction, Krav Maga was developed through extensive experience in the war for survival and in face-to-face confrontations. Today, Krav Maga is an integrated system incorporating clear logic, highly effective and systematic techniques, concepts and principles of action, as well as unique, advanced training methodologies. Throughout its development, the concepts laid down by Krav Maga's founder have remained constant: simplicity and efficiency, upholding the highest moral values and respect for all mankind. Grandmaster Imi Stay-Or, founder of Krav Maga, was born Imrich Lichtenfeld in Budapest, Hungary in May of 1910. He grew up in Bratislava, Slovakia, where his father, Samuel, was head of the city police department's detective unit. As part of his role, Samuel was charged with training his subordinates in defensive tactics. Under his father's influence, Imi started training at an early age and quickly emerged as an exceptionally talented athlete. As a teenager, he trained in gymnastics, wrestling and boxing. By the age of 19, he was already recognized as an international champion in these fields. Later, he focused on wrestling and competed as a member of Slovakia's national team for a decade. In 1936, fascism begins to spread throughout Europe, bringing with it a wave of violence against minorities. Entire Jewish communities find themselves defenseless, under constant attack instigated by the authorities. Imi, a young, proud Jewish athlete, is not prepared to put up with the humiliation and helplessness of the victims. Together with other young men, he organizes a group dedicated to the active defense of those targeted for attack. Under his leadership, the brave defenders successfully fight back, driving off the assailants using only their bare hands. It is under these circumstances that the seeds for an effective combat and self-defense system are planted. A system nurtured and developed by Imi a few years later into what would become known as Krav Maga. The year is 1940 and World War II is raging throughout Europe. Imi leaves Bratislava just moments before it is taken over by the Nazis, and he boards an underground immigrants boat to Palestine. After a long journey, during which he joins the Czech Legion of the British Army, Imi arrives in Palestine, which at that time was under the control of the British Mandate. He quickly becomes involved in the training and instruction of Jewish defense organizations, fighting against the Arab insurgency. With the establishment of the State of Israel, Imi naturally integrates into the newly established Israel Defense Forces. Due to his extensive experience and formidable abilities, he is nominated as the Army's chief physical fitness and hand-to-hand combat instructor. It is in this role that he begins to develop Krav Maga and to train soldiers, officers and instructors. In 1964, after 20 years of service, Imi is honorably discharged from the military. He decides to organize his vast knowledge and practical experience into a system suitable for civilian application as well. As part of this initiative, Imi opens 2 self-defense studios, training many students and instructors, all the while adapting and improving the Krav Maga system for civilian self-defense as well as for the needs of elite military and police units. In 1974, at the age of 15, Eyal Yanilov begins to practice Krav Maga. Early on, he shows extraordinary talent, both as a practitioner of the system and as an instructor. He is quickly recruited by Grandmaster Imi to train other instructors, and he later takes Imi's place teaching higher level classes. In the early 1980s, Eyal becomes Imi's foremost instructor and his closest disciple, as well as his most trusted assistant and advisor. After completing his studies in electrical engineering, Eyal starts training Israeli counter-terrorist units. Along with Imi, he writes a series of books laying out the principles of Krav Maga. Considering Eyal's substantial knowledge and experience, Imi decides to appoint him as head of the professional committee of the Israeli Krav Maga Association. In this position, Eyal creates and upgrades the curriculum, formalizing Krav Maga as a coherent system built around principles of action and unique instructional and training methods. In the mid-1980s, Eyal travels abroad, introducing Krav Maga to people in countries around the globe, first in the United States and then in Europe. He teaches the system to elite military and law enforcement units as well as to civilians. In order to manage the challenge of spreading Krav Maga beyond Israel's borders, Eyal founds the International Krav Maga Federation and serves as its chairman and head instructor under the tutelage and support of Grandmaster Imi. Imi regarded Eyal as family and as the natural choice for leadership of the Krav Maga system. For this purpose, Imi awarded him with the Founder's Diploma of Excellence and the first ever rank of Expert 8, the highest rank awarded to a Krav Maga practitioner. Imi Steor Lichtenfeld passed away in 1998 at the age of 88. To the day he died, Grandmaster Imi served as mentor and spiritual guide for Eyal Yanilov, and together they enhanced and developed Krav Maga. Since Imi's death, Eyal has taken upon himself the responsibility of leading and developing Krav Maga and taking it to the next level. He trains instructors and staff all over the world and has created a global infrastructure for disseminating the system. In practice, Eyal has trained all of the world's first-generation Krav Maga instructors. At present, a team of elite instructors, the global team, is assisting him in spreading the knowledge and the system of Krav Maga to numerous countries around the world. In addition to the many civilians training in Krav Maga centers, military and police special forces from around the world have also adopted Krav Maga as taught by Eyal and his team as their preferred hand-to-hand combat and tactical defense system. Over the years, the global network of Krav Maga branches has increased substantially, along with the numbers of practitioners and instructors. Different offshoots developed, all training under the umbrella name of Krav Maga. The International Krav Maga Federation, which was founded as a sports association, could barely meet the various changing needs of the times, and it became impossible neither to develop Krav Maga within the IKMF, nor to preserve the moral and professional spirit outlined by Imi. Therefore, Eyal decided, along with others, to harness his vast experience in Krav Maga, close to 40 years in the field, and founded Krav Maga Global, the KMG. KMG is the vehicle for Eyal and his team to disseminate and promote Krav Maga in an ethical, unique and uncompromising manner. Activities in various countries and close contact with those in the field enable tactical and technical growth and development suitable for each location and particular set of circumstances. Today, years after the passing of Grandmaster Imi, Krav Maga Global carefully supervises the professionalism of its instructors and the quality of instruction at all levels. Insistence on the highest moral and professional standards preserves the spirit and original path of Krav Maga's founder.
Imi started as a sportsman, gymnastics, wrestling and boxing, but then he had to transit. He had to change and become a defender. He had to defend himself, he had to defend his people, his friends, he has to defend the Jewish quarters against the fascist thugs. At a later stage, he used all the information, the experience that he had, all he invented and acquired, and start giving it to people. He started teaching. He was teaching in the resistance in Israel. He was teaching the Israeli Defense Forces. This was his mission, his goal in life, to pass the information forward so everybody will be able to defend himself, herself, or others. When we deal with Krav Maga, when we practice, when we acquire the knowledge, the experience, when we acquire the skills, we must do good with this. You must develop responsibility. The knowledge, the abilities, the proficiency, the capabilities you've got and acquired, you must use them correctly. Not to harm others, the opposite. Your job is to develop responsibility and be able to defend yourself, defend others in time of need.
Break fall backwards from height. Jump lightly upwards and back. Break fall, hit with the arms before the body hits. Arms are spread out relatively high, more or less upper chest, shoulder height. Both legs are high because of that type of simulation. Falling backwards from a chair simulates also hard break fall backwards height. The moment you start the fall, contract your abdominal muscles so your body and head will not hit the ground, but at a later stage. Hard break fall sideways from a chair. The idea is that you fall sideways. Before hitting the ground with your body, hit with your arm. The level of the strike is more or less at the level of your upper chest, maybe even shoulder. Continue as needed, according to the situation, according to the simulation that you are doing. The same thing can be if you fall sideways from a big ball like this. Roll forward and staying on the ground, break falling with the legs. The idea is you cannot raise up after the roll, so you must end the roll on the ground. Start the roll like a regular roll forward, then open the legs so you do not make the figure 4. One leg will hit the ground on the side, the higher leg will either hit the ground with the sole of the foot, the shoe, or will hit the wall if you are rolling towards a wall. The needs for this drill is naturally if you cannot get up because there's an opponent in front of you or some obstacle such a wall in front of you. When rolling towards a person who is considered an enemy, naturally you should make counterattacks and leave the area as soon as possible and function in this sort of confrontation. Regular kick backwards, 2-3 distances. The short distance towards the groin, what we call an uppercut kick backwards. Medium and long range. The hitting part is the back side of the heel, below the area of the Achilles tendon. Advancing backwards, either with a stomping or a skipping step, or with backwards crossing. After the first kick, one should be able to continue with series of attacks, sideways and front towards the opponent, or just sideways and move away from danger zone. Hitting targets, here's the example where the partner is putting the target at the correct range and the correct level. Attack with the kick backwards, upwards, and as you land, you should turn towards the target and continue with relevant counterattacks. Scissor kick. Here's the basic drill. With a small step, advance jump and kick with the same leg. Most of the uses for such a kick is while running towards the target. Here's the example of running, kicking, hitting the target with a scissor kick, and then continuing with the relevant punches. Inside defenses against low, straight punches. Start from a semi-passive stance. The defense is efficient and effective whether the punch is higher or lower. To emphasize the efficiency of a defense against a low strike, let the elbow lead the motion. The elbow will move diagonally forward, then recoil the forearm and send you counter-attack as soon as you can. It is possible to defend with the left against the left and with the right against the right, especially from the semi-passive stance. The defense and the counterattack should more or less be at a broken rhythm. It is also possible, in the end of the defense, to trap the opponent's arm, mainly used against straight stab with the knife. Dry drill, see the elbow moves diagonally forward until it passes the silhouette completely. Outside scooping defense against straight low punches. Start by lifting the elbow and sending the forearm down and sideways. The deflection should be sideways. Aim to deflect the strike with the middle of your forearm. In the natural process of the technique, you are bending your wrist, creating a scoop. We emphasize the elbow is moving sideways and a bit upwards. Body defense includes body turn and moving a bit diagonally forward, usually defending with the left against the right and with the right against the left. Defending low strike to the abdominal area, starting from a passive stance while the attacker is attacking diagonally from the side. Defending with the high elbow, low palm. Inside defense with the forearm, moving diagonally forward. You can defend with a closed hand whether the attacker is attacking with the left or with the right strike. Deflect the attack and with the same motion continue to a hammer punch sideways. While the forearm is deflecting, the other hand is coming up to the opposite cheek. Finish with the appropriate counter-attacks and move away from danger zone as needed. Inside defense with the forearm, high elbow, low palm, against a straight punch to the head. You should start from a position which enables you and make it comfortable to do the technique. Practically, the elbow is creating a movement that looks like an arch, with this deflecting the attacking arm. Continue with a bit of a sweeping motion with the elbow and forearm, then raise the forearm to attack with the elbow strike sideways as the first counter-attack. Finish with the relevant counter-attacks as needed. As the attacker is coming diagonally from the side, the same defense is being utilized whether he is attacking with the left or the right hand. Here in the dry drill, we are demonstrating the starting position. The natural response that triggered the defense is being changed a bit into the efficient defense and counter-attack. First, we bring two inside defenses against a combination of straight left-right punches. In the first defense, you have less of a body defense. Defend, defend, and respond with the earliest counter-attack. Two hand defenses against straight punches with a bit of a retreat and counter-attack with kicks. Inside and outside defenses with the same hand against left-right combination. Against two straight punches, you defend first with the inside defense against the first punch, and then an outside stabbing defense, number 1, against the right punch. Both defenses are being executed diagonally forward, especially the stabbing defense against the right punch should be executed with the best timing and close to the origin of the attack. Defending with two hands, inside and outside defenses against a left straight punch and a roundhouse strike with the right hand. Here again we do two defenses with the earliest counterattack while executing the second defense. Two outside defenses with earliest counterattack against two roundhouse strikes. Two hands defending correspondingly against a straight and roundhouse strike. Two outside defenses, each executed with the other hand, against a roundhouse and a hammer punch. Same goes here, two outside defenses against two strikes, defending with two hands, one defending the uppercut and the other defending the other circular attack. Here it's a hammer punch. Remember, from time to time, do the preventive measures. Don't let the attacker grab you. And now, the upper arm release against the choke from the front. Especially effective if the attacker is choking and pushing. Step backwards, out of the channel of the attack. The upper arm is circling and removing the hands from your throat. When the elbow is more or less horizontal, shift to the counterattack. The first counterattack is horizontal sideways. It can be a hammer punch or an elbow strike. Continue with other relevant counterattacks and then finish the situation, move yourself from the danger zone. Upper arm release against a choke from behind, especially needed if the attacker is also pushing. Start with the upper arm movement towards your temple. Move diagonally forward and get out from the channel of the attack. First counterattack with the backhand. Training like this will prevent some mistakes with the releasing upper arm. Finish with other relevant counterattacks and move away from the danger zone. Release from a snatch from behind, mouth is being blocked. This technique is almost identical to the technique of a headlock from behind. Your arm and mouth have been grabbed. The attacker is pulling you backwards. Turn strongly towards the opening while scraping the opponent's hand off your mouth and face. Send your chin as soon as possible towards your shoulder. Pull the opponent's palm towards your chest, towards your sternum. Bend and take your head out of the loop of the opponent's arm. Step by his side and counterattack first with a knee kick to the groin. Continue as needed.
Krav Maga is efficient, easy to do, easy to perform, easy to learn. The question is why? The answer is that all Krav Maga basic techniques, the fundamental techniques of the system, are based on natural responses. So the natural response is the foundation for every technique. So when you start to do something, when you start to react, from that you really do a technique. So the attack is triggering your natural response, and from natural response you are performing the technique. So there's no contradiction, never contradiction between a natural response in the system and a technique in the system. A natural response in the system of your body, genetically, and the technique in the Krav Maga system. Im used to say like this: if my hand is here and the attack is coming from here, this will be an inside defense to deflect the attack. If the attack is coming from here, meaning an inch to the other side, then outside defense will be needed to deflect the attack. So overall, the attack and the angle between the attacker and yourself is dictating the solution. So all techniques are based on this. That's why Krav Maga is simple. That's why it's effective and easy to learn.
Against an attacker who is trying to grab you with the bear hug. First of all, try to prevent the problem, meaning block and stop the opponent's attempt to grab you. You can do it with one hand and then counterattack first with the other hand, or with two hands and then counterattack first with a kick. Continue with counterattacks, moving out of the line and the channel of the opponents, advancing and charging. Finish with the correct tactics. Release from a bear hug from the front, hands free, going to the eyes. Also possible to go to the point above the upper lip. Lean backwards with a small step, send two palms to the side of the head of the opponent. The thumbs should be in front of the eyes. Push at the eyes, keep one hand straight and punch with the other hand. First counter can be a hammer or a straight punch. Continue with other counterattacks as needed. Remember from time to time to use the preventive measures. Here is the example again of the educational stop, educational block. Releases from bear hug from the rear, hands free. When in danger, lean forward and start counterattacking backwards. Use elbow strikes and hammers. When you lean forward, it's much more difficult for the opponent to lift you and throw you. Lean forward to the correct distance so you can strike with the elbows, with the forearm, or with the fist, with the hammer punch. If you are too high, you may strike with the triceps, and that's not efficient enough. Release from bear hug from the rear, hands free, using a leverage, a softer solution. Lean forward, slide your palms on the opponent's forearms. If needed, you can use a stomping motion to the foot of the opponent to soften his grab a little bit. Dig for a finger or two, place that finger on the palm, create a leverage on the base knuckle, and separate between the opponent's hands. Move diagonally to the other side, creating a lock first of all horizontally and then vertically down, sending his finger down towards his palm. Attacker managed to grab you with a bear hug from the front, arms caught. You could not prevent it, so now you have to do the release. Strike with two palms, or one, to the groin of the opponent, grab his shoulder blades and give a knee kick, lean to the side, elbow should be sent upwards, take the arm out and attack with it. The dry drill, start by bending forward, sending the palms down parallel to your body, then send the palms like an arrow towards the opponent's groin, strike from below. Grab the opponent's shoulder blades, give a knee kick. Lean to the side, take the elbow up and out, and then strike as needed. Release from a bear hug from the rear, arms caught. Move and turn your pelvis, lift your palm and then strike backwards to the opponent's groin. You must lean diagonally forward with your body. Continue with leaning forward, approximately until your body is horizontal. Raise your elbow, take it out, and then you can strike with it. Continue with multiple counterattacks as needed, and then leave the area or use other needed tactics. Release from a bear hug from the rear, arms caught. Attacker's arms are high, a bit difficult to lean forward. Turn the body, strike like before to the groin. The other hand can be controlling the opponent's arms. With two hooks, grab the opponent's palms, lift your elbows to the sides, sink with the body down and to the outside. Turn the chin to the shoulder. Take the head out, turn, step to the side of the opponent and counterattack with kicks. Against a bear hug from the side, arms caught. Naturally, you should prevent the attacker from getting close and grabbing you. One of the main options at the relatively close range is the educational block. Here, as we did against chokes, when the attacker is getting close, stop him by pushing at the chest and pressing at the hollow between the collarbones. After that, move away from the danger zone, keep your distance. Talking to the person should be an appropriate option here. At a closer range, when the opponent has been identified and detected rather close, your defensive response was activated. Here, prevent the attacker's hands from grabbing around you, and according to the situation, you can counterattack or just push the person away from you. Again, appropriate talking to the person and warning may be a great option. Release from bear hug from the side, arms caught. The main idea is naturally to attack the attacker as soon as possible to vulnerable points and areas. This will cause the attacker to release his grab and you'll be freed to move away from the danger zone. Initial action should be usually strike to the groin. In most situations, the best strike will be with the far hand. You do this as you move your pelvis backwards, leaning, bending forward, and striking with the backhand. Continue with appropriate counterattacks, such as knee kicks. As you bend forward and sideways, lift your elbow upwards, take your hand out from the grip, start striking with it as possible and as needed. Stay bent so the elbow will be able to reach its target. Other appropriate attacks and strikes can be stomping, hitting the eyes, and even biting. Release from bear hug from the side while the far hand is free. A relatively strong attacker can inflict much pain and even damage with his grip, as he may be able to press the ribs strongly. With your free hand, you should make several attacks to vulnerable areas, such as the eyes first of all, the groin. You can continue with knee kicks, with strikes to the head, take the closed arm out from the grip, attack with it, continue with pressing the opponent away, attacking as needed, and then move away from the danger zone. If the attacker caught you in a bear hug while the far hand is caught and the closed hand is free, bend away from the opponent, making it hard for the opponent to lift you or to take you down, and strike as soon as possible with your elbow to the head or the back of the head of the opponent. As soon as possible, turn to the opponent, press him away, continue with counterattacks. These counterattacks are freeing you. Move away from the danger zone or do the next mission you need to do. One can use attacks with the far hand, kicks, knees, stomps, headbutts, etc. All in order to weaken the opponent and prevent him from causing damage to you. Defending and releasing from wrist grabs. Remember always to train on the preventive measures. Avoid being grabbed. You can defend the attacker's hand or escape with your hand. Finish with the tactical moves, tactical thinking, as usual. If needed, you can even do a preemptive attack. Strike the opponent at the correct timing and level of force. The attacker managed to get close to you, grab you, and now he's pulling. The danger is that the attacker will move you to an undesired location, sort of kidnapping, snatching. The principle here is not to resist. Advance towards the attacker, counterattack as soon as you can with the hands and with the legs. Most appropriately, because you are moving, it will be to punch, strike to vulnerable points. As soon as possible, you can of course use your legs with kicks at the appropriate range. After you have been freed, then the danger is less, move away from the danger zone or do the next mission. Dealing with a wrist or arm grab when the situation is dangerous. The attacker is also hitting you. Here the attacker is grabbing with the hand across and strikes with his strong hand. Use the most efficient hand defenses and body defenses and strike first with the appropriate tool. It can be first a headbutt or first a knee kick, then continue with more strikes as needed. The strong attacks made the release. Finish by moving away from danger zone or do what you need to do next. Against a dangerous diagonal grab and a strike, the attacker is grabbing the diagonal arm, pulls and strikes you. The grab is limiting your ability of defense. So in many cases you do not have a defending hand. As you are being pulled, move with the pull and duck down under the strike. Depending on the strength of the pull, as you are going down, either you slam yourself to opponent's body or in a bobbing and weaving motion, move your body to the other side while the attack is passing over your head. Ducking down is practically your defense. Strike as soon as you can with your free hand. Get close to the opponent. This will make it hard for him to continue with strikes. Attack with your hand, attack with your knee, you can even strike with your head. The counterattacks released you. Continue with what you need to do. It is obvious that in this situation, the main thing, as you are in relatively severe level of danger, to attack, to strike, to terminate the attacker's ability to cause you any harm. Release from a wrist grab, one hand catches the one in front of it. Start by stretching your fingers, strengthening your forearm, rotate the forearm, send the sharp side towards the opening, and your elbow then rotates towards the opponent's forearm. This creates the release. Shift your weight forward and turn your body. Finish by moving away or by moving behind the opponent. Release from diagonal wrist grab. You should have one leg forward as usual. Start by straightening your fingers and strengthening your forearm. Turn the forearm in the opponent's hand, sending the thumb side towards the opening, and then send the elbow towards the opponent's forearm. This creates the release. Finish by moving away or behind the opponent. Release from two hands, grabbing two hands. Start by sinking down, rotating the palms inward. Circle with the forearm, start by overlapping the palms. Close your fingers so they will not hit your eyes accidentally when you rise up. While raising your body, send your elbows in, your palms out, and the elbows inward and upwards. Dry drill, we see the turning and the overlapping of the palms, circling as you sink with the knees and the body down, and then raising up while sending the palms up and out. And remember, so your fingers will not hit your eyes accidentally, close your fists, even partly. Two hands grab one hand low. The principle and the technique of assisting. With the hook, grab your fist from above, sink with your elbow, lift the fist, and then rotate the elbow above the forearms of the opponent. Finish with the tactical moves as usual. Release from two hands, grabbing one hand, the principle of separation. With the hook of your wrist, hit the opponent's wrist in the direction from his stomach to your stomach. Send your elbow backwards. At the same time, the counter motion, send the grabbed hand forward and a bit down. Hitting one wrist of the opponent, release that hand. Now release your hand from the remaining grab in the usual way of using the axis. Your front motion, your elbow is participating in the motion. Make a full circle to create the release. Finish with the correct tactical moves. Your hand is high and the opponent grabbed it with the diagonal palm. Here we are also using the principle of circle. Start by rotating the palm in the opponent's hand, pinky towards the outside, like an outside defense, sending the sharp side to the opening. Make a full rotation, return to the starting point, then use the correct tactical moves. Release from two hands, grabbing two hands. Make two full circles inward with your two arms. Start by rotating, overlapping the fingers and the palms, sending the sharp side towards the opening in each hand. Make a full circle to prevent the opponent from falling towards you. Your hand is high, opponent grabbed it with two hands. Here's the technique of assisting. With the hook, grab your fist and rotate your elbow above the opponent's arms. Circle your elbow and sink it downwards after you passed the opponent's forearm. It should be more or less in front of the opponent's shoulder. Finish with the correct tactical moves. the opponent grabs your wrist and forearm with two hands. Here is the technique of separation. With the hook, hit from above, direction from his shoulder to your shoulder. Simultaneously, as a counter action, you send your caught hand forward. Now you have to release one hand from one hand, either with a rotation of the elbow from above or with the whole circle of the forearm. Attacker surprised and caught your arms from behind. You don't feel danger, you decided to make a soft release. Turn your body, rotate your palm and send it diagonally downwards. Step then to the other side and with the circle of the caught hand pressing towards the opponent, you release yourself from the second hand grab. If you feel danger, you can naturally attack backwards. Usually you can start with a kick. If you do need it, you can step and then kick. After the first attack, you can continue as needed, with strikes or release and moving away. A release from a painful handshake. If you feel the pressure and the pain, straighten your fingers, press with your forearm in the area closer to your elbow against the wrist of the opponent. You should be pressing the tendon of his thumb from above diagonally down. When you press with one hand, pull the other. Defending an overhead stick attack, bursting forward to the live side, the attacker is attacking with one hand. The active defense, the hand defense, is a stabbing defense, meeting the stick or the attacker's hand with an acute angle. Body defense, bursting forward, bringing the head as close as possible to the attacker. Counter-attacking as early as possible. We demonstrate here with or without disarming the stick. The stabbing defense with the hand should be directed above the attacker's head. The elbow should be low. The impact angle with the attack is a very sharp, very acute one. After the first counter-attack, grab the attacker and strike more. As soon as possible, either you disarm by moving backwards, using a hinge, turning the stick in the attacker's hand and disarming him, or moving away from the danger zone quickly. A blocking defense with the arm against the stick may cause you much damage, even cause a broken hand. The pressure with the stick will be deflected. The stick will slide the moment the arm becomes straight. The dry drill, the stabbing hand defense. The dynamic defense, the body defense, is composed of two components. One, tilting forward. The other is stepping forward. The whole process is usually hand, body, and step. Hand defense, body defense, and counter-attack. The body in the defense becomes straight completely. A straight line can be drawn from the fingers of the defending hand till the back heel. Defending against overhead stick attack, going to the outside, usually against an attacker who is attacking either off angle or holding the stick with two hands. The stabbing hand defense, going to the outside of the forearm of the attacker's hand as soon as possible. The moment the attacker is raising his hand, burst forward. The body motion that brings the defender to about 45 degrees from the side, clearing completely the channel of the descending stick. The hand defense, moving the body diagonally forward. The other hand grabs one of the attacking arms. Control the opponent and counterattack as soon as possible. As soon as possible, move the back leg from the line and the channel of the descending stick. After the initial counterattacks, grab the stick with the other hand and disarm the person with or without a thigh kick to the opponent's grip. After disarming the stick, you may use it as necessary. Naturally, it's possible after the counterattacks just to push the attacker away and move away from the danger zone. Bursting forward against the horizontal stick swing from the side. One hand high, one hand low. The main technique here is a body defense. You shoot your body forward, your shoulder towards the opponent's shoulder, the one that the stick is coming from. Initially you start with building some sort of a wall, meaning one hand is down, fleshy part of the forearm is out, the back of the hand is out, the opposite hand with the palm is protecting the head. Your shoulder should be brought high to cover part of the head, part of the face. Stay high in this technique. The moment you turn the body, sending the shoulder forward, you gain a back leg. This will enable you to burst forward to close the gap to the opponent. If you manage to close the distance well, the hands of the opponent will reach you, will hit you lightly. If not, the stick will, and in this case, it will hit a very large surface with the area close to the hand, meaning a non-dangerous area. After the collision, simultaneously, you give an elbow strike inward to the opponent's head and wrap the low hand to control the attacking hands or weapon. If you didn't close the gap enough, instead of an elbow strike, you'll have to give a straight punch. Continue with the knee kick, then look, see if the stick is still in the opponent's hand. If it is there, take it. Disarming is done by grabbing the stick with the striking hand, turning it strongly to the other side, over or through the opponent's head. The wrapping hand with the hook is controlling the forearms or the wrist of the opponent, enabling an easy disarming. Defending against a horizontal stick swing from the side with two forearms held high. Your initial stance is probably with one leg forward and two hands high, as if you're talking or trying to relax the person, or just a reflexive response when you saw the stick coming. Burst forward, sending two forearms to meet the area of the stick. This is a natural response. On this natural response of sending the palms and hands towards the weapon, we are building our technique. The fleshy part of the forearms or the palms is meeting the attack. Your forearms are diagonal. There is a cushioning and shock absorbing of the attack. Meeting the attack should be done below and above the knot, meaning the hold of the stick. One forearm or palm will meet the stick at the area close to the grab, close to the palms of the opponent, and the other one will meet the forearms near the wrists. Attacker may be attacking with one or two hands holding the stick. Bursting forward should be done with the chest towards the attack. This will enable a symmetrical defense with the forearms. Each forearm will absorb half of the strike. As soon as possible, trap the weapon or the hand holding it and strike the opponent. The first counterattack can be a knee kick or a hammer punch. Continue to counterattack and then move away or disarm the person. Disarming the stick should be done by grabbing the wrist and the stick and making a braking action, an axis that will disarm the opponent. Finish by moving away from the danger zone, naturally counterattacking as needed. The previous technique should be done when your hands are low and it's very clear that the attacker is doing a horizontal swing. This technique is done when your reflexive fundamental response is bringing the hands up. If you have the opposite stance, meaning the stick is going to your live side, then bursting forward should be diagonally forward to reduce the impact with the stick. Still the same technique. Four against one drill. Here the attacker, naturally first is one attacker, is attacking with a kick or with a punch in a combination, one after the other. Attacker, with his own internal clock, should attack 2 strikes and then pause for about 2 seconds. Then attack again, 1 or 2 attacks, and pause again. Here we are dealing with straight attacks. Straight punch, straight kick, regular kick towards the groin area, towards the stomach. After 15 seconds more or less, second attacker goes in. After 30 seconds more, the third goes in. After 45 seconds more, the fourth goes in. and the whole round finishes after 3 minutes. Here you can see the defender moving correctly towards the outside, towards the dead side of an attacker, avoiding going between attackers. Try not to turn your back to any attacker. Using hand defenses, using body defenses, using leg defenses, meaning using the active defenses and the dynamic defenses. Counterattack as soon as possible. You can do even preemptive attacks. Move correctly so you'll have all the attackers more or less in a funnel in front of you. Don't let attackers reach behind you. It is very important to practice your weapons, your tools. The attacks and counterattacks are very important. In this drill, we are demonstrating the performer starting from a passive stance and eyes closed. Performer is being activated by sound. The partner is hitting the pads one to another. Partner must locate himself in different positions, different areas, different distances to enable the performer to practice the different kinds and types of attacks. Naturally, we have here a very strong workout on the decision making. Another way of activating and triggering the performer is naturally by touch. So the partner touches and then poses the two targets, so the attacker activates by contact and immediately posing the targets at the correct place in order to create the correct training drill. Naturally, the partner must not be always in the direction from which he is touching, meaning the partner can stand at one side and touch you at the other side. We have to locate the targets as soon as possible and perform the attacks appropriately to the distance, range, height, etc. One should always be ready that any confrontation will turn into any direction. The attacker applied a wrist grab on two hands. You tried to de-escalate the problem and finish the fight without a fight. However, after the release, the attacker returned. He returned with a strong kick. So deal with the real problem. Now it is a kick and actually the kicker. So defend and counterattack as usual and as needed. In the same subject of returning attacker, here the attacker delivered a low strike. You defended, counterattacked, managed to get away a bit. However, the attacker, who was not neutralized for long enough, returned, almost continued, with a strong hammer punch sideways. Deal with the new problem, defending, counterattacking, and finishing the incident. The distance is a major consideration in any confrontation, any type of fight, any type of self-defense issue. Here with the fighting skills, we are bringing the subject of distance. First of all, one is attacker and the other one is defender. The attacker is practicing different series of attacks at the different ranges and changes and passes between the different ranges. The long, the medium, the short and the very short distances. The defender's role is naturally to defend, get used to an attacker who is changing the distance, starting from long distance to medium to short, and definitely changing back to long distance. In the beginning, as a defender, you should only do defenses. Later, planning and executing part of counterattacks, still not counterattacking and not disturbing the way that the partner is attacking. After the section of partly slow fighting, meaning one was attacking, one was defending, maybe counterattacking from time to time, here we have slow fighting with changes of distances and ranges. You should practice and drill the defenses, the attacks, the counterattacks, executed against and at different ranges and distances. In Kmg, one of the major ideas is definitely to increase your fighting capabilities. One should be always ready to deal with multiple opponents. However, all you see is one opponent, and there is a confrontation against this individual. Here the idea is we are closing the gap, decreasing the distance, while attacking, defending as needed, counter-attacking, in a devastating attitude, closing the distance from long to very short, while attacking with kicks, punches, different strikes, elbow strikes, knee strikes, headbutts, hooks and hammers that are appropriate for the short range. When you're at close distance, then circle around the opponent. While you continue to counterattack, you should circle in order to see the whole area, the whole surrounding. And because you cannot turn your face and your gaze away from the opponent, you should circle around him. As you circle, you should not stop your actions. After you feel that the situation is appropriate, then increase the distance and go to the next mission. If at first we burst forward with a flurry of attacks and then circle around, now it is the opposite. We are circling around the opponent, maybe here and there delivering an attack or dealing with an attack, but when the time is right, and after you've been circling, burst forward with a strong and aggressive series of devastating attacks. While you're circling around the opponent, you could see the area. You can check who was behind you at the previous place that you were at. Naturally, you are creating a moving target of yourself, much harder for the opponent to deal with you. Then at the appropriate time, burst forward with strong attacks and appropriate defenses and neutralize the threat.
Go!
In the following drill of attacker, disturber, and target, the attacker's job is constantly attacking the target. The disturber's job is to prevent the attacker from reaching the target, to push him away, to block his way, to divert him from his way, be a barrier. Here we are training mainly the attacker to continue, to be persistent, to be aggressive, not to give up, not to stop. It is not an easy drill physically, so you have to recruit your resources, especially mental resources, in order to continue, and not to stop and not to give up. In the basic drill, the disturber should not grab the attacker. If we see that the attacker is too strong, then we can have two defenders, two disturbers who will block his way and push him away from the target. If the disturber is much stronger, then naturally he should let the attacker reach the target maybe 15–20% of the time. A reasonable round for this sort of technique, this sort of drill, is about 75 seconds for the beginning. Naturally, if the participants have reasonable level of fitness. We have different drills in order to increase and improve your level of fighting capabilities. Here we do physical and mental training in order to increase and improve the aggression, the determination, the persistence of the trainee. You've got a couple of targets in front of you and a partner is holding you from behind. You are tied to some sort of a belt or a rope. Partner from behind is pulling you and moving you a bit left and right, disturbing you and preventing you from hitting the targets. Your idea is to attack the targets without stopping, without pausing. Do different types of attacks. Strive forward, strive to hit, strive to strike all the time without stopping. Continue strongly. Ignore the disturbance. Try your best in order to reach the target. You should apply different attacks. Punches, straight strike, hooks, elbows, hammers, uppercuts, etc. Even kicks are possible. While you are attacking, you are pushing forward. The partner from behind is pulling you backwards, can move you left and right a bit. To take you off balance, you have to train on regaining the balance, regaining the equilibrium. Safety in training, be careful while you are striking forward not to send your palms, hands, forearms backwards that may hit your partner, the one from behind. One should be also accurate in all the attacks he is doing to the targets. The person holding the target can also move a bit left and right, backwards a bit, to create more of a challenge. As the attacker, you must not grab the targets, only strike them. Remember, breathing is important. Try to control your breathing. Use the breathing mechanism in order to increase your aggression and determination. Slow fighting with a partner. Try to be with your defenses and counterattacks slower than the attacks of the partner. So try to defend in a slower defense compared to your partner. Like this, you are gaining control, especially over yourself. Light fighting with minimal of protective gear. Here there are groin protections, mouthpiece, sometimes shin guards, sometimes light gloves. The idea is to do light fighting. Be careful not to hit your partner strongly, not to kick your partner strongly, not to make strong impact with any type of target. During the light fighting, you should create light contact. You should use all your tools, all your weapons. Try to practice the different tactics. Vary with different techniques. Aim to different types of targets. Be in a mental state of a fighter. Do not give up, do not stop. If there's a problem or hurdle, climb on it, deal with it, solve it. In the simulation and tactics for P4, we have two people approaching one defender. We do simulate two people coming from the front, or one from the front and one from the side, but the difficult situation and case is that one is from the front and the other is from behind. The one from behind is grabbing, the other from the front is striking. The aim of two attackers like this is usually to rob you, to strike you, to punish you, etc. If the attacker from the front is far, kick him first and deal with the second attacker. Here we do a relevant technique against a bear hug from the rear. Arms are trapped. Striking first for the groin, taking the arm out, continuing with strikes and turning around to put the second attacker between you and the first one, the one from the front. If the distance from the first attacker is longer, naturally we can deal with attacker number 2, the one from behind, first. We need to understand the priorities here. Which attacker can be dealt and should be dealt with first? Who is more dangerous? If the first attacker is closer, you have no chance of stopping him at a long distance. The trapped hands do not allow you to do any hand defense. So body defense will be most appropriate. Continue with counterattacks with kicks. Knee kicks if it's a short distance, side kicks, regular or roundhouse kicks, all as needed. As you're so low, attacking strongly the first attacker, as soon as possible, attack attacker number 2. These counterattacks enable you to free yourself. Responding, reacting to the opponent's reaction. Here we practice the ability to respond to a response, to react to a reaction. You start with a kick, the opponent is moving backwards or sideways. Continue with your kick, with your body movement towards the opponent. You should navigate your actions. Be like a radar, follow your target. First attack should be directed and continuous towards the opponent. From the initial moment that you see the opponent moving, direct your resources towards him. You can use an advance with a step or with a sliding step. When the distance is shortened, naturally you can use your hands. After your kick or kicks, when the distance changes, you can strike, of course. Naturally, there can be an option that when you move to kick the opponent is moving towards you. Here the partner is not attacking you, just moves towards you. Naturally, the distance has been shortened and the appropriate attacks, the appropriate response should be a shorter kick or strike with the hand. Train with a partner who is changing his distance and directions from you to all possibilities, to all directions, and to all distances. One should detect the opponent's responses as soon as possible and react to them. These are the first steps to reach the warrior levels.
As a person who needs to withstand violent confrontations, as a fighter, one should have a quiet mind, a concentrated mind. To have a quiet mind, meaning to be able to neutralize the internal gossip, the internal dialogues, the talk that you are talking to yourself all the time. When you've got these abilities, then you will be able to perceive the surrounding, you perceive the data from the area much, much better. So the stimulus that will come from the outside, whether vision, hearing, smelling, etc., you'll be able to identify them much better. You'll be able to analyze the data faster, without interruption, without distraction, and you will have to do, and you'll be able to do, the best decision under stress. What practically we are doing, we are teaching you how to improve your decision-making process under stress, how to deal with new types of violent confrontations.